This module, we are going to introduce the concept of performance and potential appraisal. What exactly does this mean in an organizational context? So, we will just touch upon the very basics of this particular process by explaining the concept and also understanding what is the purpose behind it, what is the whole process about, and various methodology how a person or an employee is appraised in an organization. There are certain traditional methods and there are certain modern methods as well. What are and who all are the appraisers? Whom do we call appraisers as such? What are the major drawbacks or disadvantages in the whole performance appraisal process? And of course, we will conclude by potential appraisal, which is again one of the modern methodologies. Now, what exactly does this term means performance management? Now, being students of management, I believe you all have a basic understanding of the process of management. It all involves and starts with planning and then kind of controlling it, monitoring it, reviewing it. That is what management is. So, when we manage the performance of an employee, we can say or we can define this particular whole process as the process by which executives, managers, and supervisors work to align employee performance with firm's goals. So, if we are aware about the organization's vision or mission, that mission and mission statements are used basically to form the strategic intent of the organization. What are the organizational goals? And then it cascades down to the goals of each and every function within the organization. Within that functional or departmental goals, it is further broken down into the goals of an employee in that particular department or function. Now, once those goals are there, that means we are talking about what a person or an employee being in that position is supposed to do. So that means those goals of an employee will be broken down further into tasks. Now, if you can correlate that, the moment we are talking about tasks, we are talking about responsibilities of that particular position. That means, first of all, we need to have a job analysis of that particular position, and that job description needs to be in sync with the company's goals or the organization's goals. Now, how do we do that? It is all the management of these goals and the performance to achieve those goals is what performance management is all about. So basically, an effective performance management process will have a very precise definition of excellent performance. What does a performance mean and what is an excellent performance? It uses measurements of performance, whether it is going to be in terms of quality, in terms of cost, in terms of quantity. What is the measurement of performance has to be clearly defined in this particular process of performance management, and definitely it provides feedback to employees because they have to be in sync with the corporate goals. And how does one do that? When the feedback is given to the employees how to improve or how to be in sync with the level of expected achievement from the organization. Now, what are the objectives of performance appraisal? Why do we do it? Because we need to do this kind of appraisal for remedial purpose. That is, if the person or the employee is performing at a certain level and we want to rectify it, he is not performing as per the expected levels. So we try to remedy that. That means it is remedial, and there might be an employee who is actually working as per the expectation, and if with certain guidance he might be able to improve it. So that means this performance appraisal can be used as a developmental thing as well. So that could be one of the purposes of performance appraisal. And again, it can be innovative and motivational, which is when we are in touch with our employees as a manager who is regularly being in touch with his team members and appraising their performance, that it can bring out a lot of innovation, and a lot of people are bound to work together in a team in a better way. So it motivates them to come up with new ideas, to come up with suggestions to improve the working of the whole organization, so that the goals of the organization can be achieved faster or in a better manner. So these are the basic purposes of performance appraisal thing, that why we are doing it. When we talk of The objectives, that means we are talking about the purpose behind it, the goal which we are trying to achieve through performance management. Now, what is the purpose behind this whole performance management? It is basically that makes sure that within an organization, supervisor and employee are in touch with each other, they are communicating with each other in a formal manner or maybe informally, and trying to improve upon overall effectiveness. So, through that communication, the supervisor makes sure that there is some feedback on the performance which is given to the employee, basis which the employee can try and improve upon his performance. So, all this also makes sure that there is certain level of documentation which is there, because all this feedback and the communication which happens between the supervisor and the employee, the things are documented. It could be a proper uh, performance management system managed through HRIS, that is Human Resource Information System. There might be a software which a company might be using, or it could be simple paper as well, which becomes a very bulky thing. But yes, that is how it used to be in olden times. But these days, things have moved on to EHR, so that could be managed through EPMS, that is Electronic Performance Management System. But that definitely it requires a lot of documentation, because these documentation again can be useful in any legal kind of cases if there are any in future. So the records are maintained properly for each and every feedback session or counseling session or the review, which we will be talking about in details. The developmental goals are all kind of written down at times in black and white, that how the employee must progress. So these goals are all again mentioned as a part in that document. And then, of course, performance management, one of the important goals is that it aligns the individual employees' goals with the whole strategic goals of the organization. What does the HR do in this whole process? Now, HR's role in performance management is that it does participate in strategic planning. That is why these days the designations which the HR managers are given is HR business partners. Because they're involved in the whole process, and then it conducts job analysis. It is very crucial that the person is aware of what the scope of his or her job is. If that is properly clarified, there is no ambiguity in that. Yes, these days talk about de-jobbing of the job is there, making the employee empowered, but definitely some idea regarding what the job is all about has to be described, and that is what HR does in this whole process. It gives that background support, because who is ultimately, see, the line managers are the one who are appraising their employees or the team members. The HR manager is no way involved in kind of giving any kind of feedback to that particular employee until and unless the person is in HR department, wherein the HR manager will be taking care of that feedback, review, and counseling and regarding the performance. But otherwise, as far as the whole organization is concerned, HR becomes a support function, because let's say starting a cycle, informing every line manager that okay, they are supposed to be reviewing their team members, then collating and collecting the data regarding the whole appraisal review. If basis that appraisal there is somebody who is to be rewarded or some incentive have to be given, again that kind of support is provided by the HR manager, but they are not directly involved in appraising of that team member who is not directly reporting to the HR, right? So designing appraisal system again becomes important. What kind of appraisal system should be there? Is it simple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rating? Is it something of an elaborate subjective kind of thing wherein a person makes a presentation or self appraisal and then so on and so forth? So there are different systems which we are going to talk about. So what kind of system is suitable to the organization? Again, their HR will have a very important role to play, and whatever the system might be, but informing the managers about the system, that also becomes a very crucial role of HR, because the moment this kind of information and training is not given to the managers, the systems can fail. And maintaining documents, once the whole documentation has been done, the custodian of such documentation is HR in the organization. HR is one function which takes care of these documentation for almost years, I would say, because that can become a legal kind of proof in case there is some legal case around this particular issue. Provide employee due process. Now, they are again trying to maintain that process and make sure that each and every employee is getting that sort of system applicable to them as well. There is no employee in the organization who is left out, is what is being ensured by the presence of HR. So let's say as a manager, I can simply say that, okay, I have 10 team members and I've talked to everybody of them and I can just file in a report. But then HR being HR, we can always talk to those employees, the team members, whether that was done or not in case of any doubt or in case of any issue raised by any of the employees that no, I was never talked about and this particular thing was never talked about with me. So this again becomes an HR responsibility, and that is a very important role which HR plays in the whole process. Ensures integrity of the system. Now this is again because these kind of system when they are implemented, typically the data will be with HR, but they will try and keep it confidential. They will not kind of leak the data unnecessarily to those who are not directly concerned with that particular process. And also, as I said in the previous point, that each employee is given due weightage in this whole system. Nobody is left out. So that makes a system very integral part of the whole organizational functioning, and it becomes very important for the HR to maintain that sort of importance. Ensure compliance with the non-discrimination laws. That means the biases which at times the appraisers suffer from, HR makes sure that these kind of discrimination against a particular employees are not there, or they are minimized and they are kind of removed from the system when this performance management takes place in the organization. Let me know if you have any queries. Stay tuned for more content.